Oh, now I remember. Today's Wednesday. Weeaboo Wednesday. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, today is indeed Weeaboo Wednesday, and Weeaboo Wednesday is just my typical weekly anime news and weeaboo news and Japanese interesting stories segment where I go ahead and look through a bunch of articles, filter them through, and give them to you guys in layman's terms. So, without further ado, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you do enjoy these, and I'll keep making them. But our first story today regards Godzilla vs. Kong. Yeah, it would seem that the next movie in the series of MonsterVerse movies by Legendary Pictures was going to be Godzilla vs. Kong. That was exciting to me because I love Godzilla. They did the Kong Skull Island, the other Kong movie, Godzilla, and Godzilla King of the Monsters all together so far, and so the next one was to make these two franchises meet together. Now, it would seem that there was supposed to be a release in May of 2020, but it's not going to happen quite as soon as we had expected. There were a lot of people buzzing recently about how there were no updates because if they were indeed making it by next year, there should have been at least something this summer, and thus nothing came. And now everybody realizes why. It was reported in a magazine recently that it has been pushed back to November 2020, which is quite some while away. I'm hoping that that just means that it'll be better. That means that they're taking their time to do what they need to do with it, though my expectations aren't as high when I found out the person writing it is the same person who did the American Death Note, and that's kinda gross. Mamoru Hosoda's Summer Wars is a pretty highly respected movie in the anime world. It's not quite my cup of tea, I never really enjoyed it that much, but it was certainly interesting and there was a lot of good animation in it. Though it would seem that it's turning 10 years old, and for its 10th anniversary, they're going to be actually doing 4D screenings of it in Japan, starting in January. That's cool. Not sure if we'll get it here in the States, but I'm sure that people are excited about it because a lot of people really do love that movie. Like I said though, not quite for me. Ooh, Persona 5 Scramble got another trailer in the form of previewing Miss Ann Tamaki, otherwise known as Panther. And yeah, her trailer was just as you'd expect, a nice video of her going around whipping enemies and beating them all up, Dynasty Warrior style, tons of people at once, and using her persona, her machine gun, and shooting a bunch of people. There's some nice anime scenes of her coming out of water, showing a little bit of fan service, and it would seem that they've even programmed a bit of jiggle physics onto the model for Miss Tamaki, which is certainly wonderful for some people, I'm sure. And yeah, like I said, I don't think that these are gonna play too differently from one another. Her trailer looks very similar to the others that we've seen so far, but still, whatever. I'm sure Persona 5 Scramble will be pretty interesting at least. But with that said, Persona 5 Royal is finally getting a release in the United States. Well, I say finally, though it is a bit far away from now. As you may know, the Persona 5 Royal version came out in Japan in October, which was great because it was a repackaging of the series with some extra content and everything like that, released so that everybody can enjoy it all again with all this new edition, which is wonderful, but it would seem that we're not going to be getting it until later on next year. March 31st to be specific, and that's almost April basically, so yeah, that's quite a ways away from now. 4 months away, which I guess isn't that bad for some of us, but if you were going to beat the original one, there's plenty of time to do so before you play it all over again in Persona 5 Royal. It was also seen that there's going to be a collector's edition of the game, which comes with a nice big art book, as well as Joker's mask as well, which looks pretty dope. So yeah, if you're into that, then get excited. Ooh, Animal Crossing is getting a manga. Yeah, weirdly enough, there's going to be a Japanese manga of Animal Crossing. As you may or may not know, Animal Crossing is called Dobutsu no Mori in Japanese, and the title for the manga is Gather Dobutsu no Mori Carefree Island News, basically, when you translate it together. It would seem that it's going to be following a single protagonist who is going through her day-to-day strife on a isolated island, basically with nobody there. And I'm assuming that's meaning that there's going to be people moving into the island and what she deals with as they move in, or potentially just the struggles of being a villager on an island trying to build it up on your own. And yeah, I'm excited to see that because it has the Nook kids on the front and it all looks really cute. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. GeGeGe no Kitaro is getting another ending song. Amida Kuji is going to be performed by girl group Scandal, and it's going to be, I believe, the second ending theme for the final arc of GeGeGe no Kitaro. And if you know anything about anime, there's typically not too many different end themes to a season, so this may be marking the halfway point of the season. Maybe it'll get a third song, hopefully, and they keep these episodes rolling through, but still, obviously enough, GeGeGe no Kitaro is coming to an end, and this new theme should probably be great, because Scandal's wonderful, right? If you've ever heard of Diver City, it is a pretty iconic place in Odaiba, Japan, and it would seem that they're going to be opening the very first Doraemon Store in Odaiba in Diver City. It's going to be called Doraemon Mirai Department Store, which essentially means Doraemon Future Department Store. And it's broken up in 3 different areas. There's going to be a kids area where you can go and play. It's called like the Gadget Laboratory, where there's going to be replications of some of the famous gadgets from Doraemon, and the kids can play with those as toys. It's kind of like a play place, basically. There's going to be another area where people can go and create their own gadgets, supposedly. I'm not quite sure how that will work. And finally, the actual shopping area of the place, which will house all of these original items and all this exclusive stuff that I'm sure is only going to be in this Doraemon store, or just a lot of themed items for Doraemon that they'll be selling in this place, which is really cool to think it's such a big store. Additionally, it's going to be so big that it's even going to offer a post box sort of service where you can go there and buy exclusive stamps and postcards and even send them out from the location itself. And you can actually send them basically into the future. So you can say on a particular day, hey, I'm giving you this postcard, I want you to send it. But I don't want it to arrive until, who knows, September 13th. And that's crazy because you can actually postpone it for 12 months past when you're sending it. So you have a whole year of future time for them to send it. And it's pretty interesting. It kind of continues the theme of this sort of futuristic post office, I guess, whatever. It's pretty cool, and a lot of people love Doraemon. I'm sure plenty of you guys do too. This is pretty crazy. GKids will be actually releasing digital versions of 21 Ghibli movies for digital purchase, and you can use this on your Apple TV, you can use it on Amazon, Sony, and a bunch of other platforms as well. And this is the first time that they're going to be doing something like this, which is a pretty big deal. It starts December 17th, and it's going to include all kinds of iconic movies like Spirited Away, Pom Poko, Ponyo, Totoro, Castle in the Sky, The Cat Returns, you name it. There's 21 movies that are going to be offered through this digital distribution, which is a pretty big deal. And it would also seem that HBO will also be streaming these same movies from their service as well, which is pretty crazy to think that it's going to get such a broad release and so many people could potentially be shown these movies for the first time. GKids is also the same people that typically tour these movies around the United States in theaters, so I'm pretty happy to see something like this. Personally, I'm just going to go ahead and recommend Pom Poko and The Cat Returns. They're wonderful movies, but Pom Poko will make you cry like a baby. This one is kind of sad in a way. The president of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Jim Ryan, recently did a piece with Game Informer. If you're familiar, they do the magazine for GameStop. It's a pretty big publication, but essentially he said that the PlayStation Vita was a wonderful experience, it was a great gaming device, it had so much interesting stuff to offer, but they're no longer in that business anymore, which essentially has led people to believe that Sony is completely pulling out of the handheld department and they're just not going to be making handhelds anymore. And I guess I can understand why. There's been a million productions that people have tried to make handhelds and they always kind of take off a little bit but never quite go quite the way they want. Obviously enough, Nintendo has ruled the handheld department and Sony PSP was awesome, but Vita did, I feel, pretty poorly in the United States. It was amazing in Japan, but they cut the production for the Vita back last year, I believe, and haven't been making any games for it, and it's just sad because I own a Vita and I actually really like the system, but it doesn't seem like it's ever going to go any further here, and with this statement, Sony may never make anything like that again, which is a shame because I feel like they were doing pretty well with handhelds. They were kind of holding their own against Nintendo, but of course, Nintendo owns that. They own that. They're the kings of it. And yeah, I guess you're not going to touch them, but whatever. I'm going to keep my Vita, probably, just like I kept my PSP and everything else before that. I love handheld games, but obviously enough, the Switch is kind of that crazy hybrid of handheld / home console. and I don't think anybody's going to try to do something quite as risky as that ever again. So I guess this is so long, Sony. We hardly knew ye. Finally, this last one is very topical for the season because there is a winter-themed McDonald's commercial which talks about their gratin croquette burger. If you've been to Japan, korokke, or croquettes, or croquets, whatever the heck you pronounce it as, are delicious little fried, heavenly delights that I could not get enough of. And it would seem that there's going to be a burger of this in Japan, which is filled with like cheese, I think, or something. It looks pretty ridiculous. If you've ever had potatoes au gratin, maybe that's what's inside, who knows? But either way, it looks delicious, and this commercial was adorable, so thank you, McDonald's. When did you just make a damn anime? Finally, just make a McDonald's anime, I would watch it. That last commercial was great, so this one just adds to it. But that's gonna do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't want to touch because they're really weird stories that I don't think are as topical, and I want to keep things simple, things that are fun, that are exciting for you guys. So if you did like this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, because I make one every week. Pardon my voice, I am sick right now, but I'm going to link a video right here, and if you want to click that, it helps the channel. Even if you've seen it, go ahead and click it and watch it through, and I will love you ever the longer. Make sure to comment below what the story that was most interesting was to you, and I will see you on Friday for a figure review. And until then, peace out, weeaboos. Merry Christmas.